The next Conservative leader should be announced shortly after 11 o'clock by the Conservative Party chairman, Richard Fuller. It will be announced by Bob Blackman, who is now the chair of the 1922 Backbench Conservative Committee. And once the result is announced, either Kemi Badenoch or Robert Jenrick will give a speech, and all of this should be sorted out before lunchtime. So far, neither candidate has accepted responsibility or has reflected on why the Conservative Party lost the general election. It's important that at some point they do that. They spent 3 months wasting time navel-gazing rather than holding the present government to account. And this process has taken too long. It's been too self-indulgent. It follows on from the self-indulgent process that led to Rishi Sunak, that led to Liz Truss, that led to Boris Johnson, that led to Theresa May. It's the system needs to be revised. It eats away any sort of political momentum. It leads to inertia. It leads to appalling candidates, and we've seen Stride, Tugendhat, Cleverly, all knocked out. Priti Patel, thankfully, knocked out, and you could argue there isn't anybody worth electing in the Conservative Party. But I think this choice between Badenoch and Jenrick will hasten the end of the Conservative Party. Parallels will be drawn with the lurch to the right to the Labour Party's lurch to the left under Jeremy Corbyn. The differences are striking. Jeremy Corbyn, you may not agree with his policies, I certainly don't, but both Jeremy Corbyn and his brother are people who have their souls rooted in humanity and are genuinely interested in the well-being of their constituents and the well-being of the party. I'm not so sure the same can be said about Kemi Badenoch and Robert Jenrick, who seem to be obsessed with climbing up the greasy pole and getting to the top. There has to be a new way in politics. I was immensely impressed, actually. Nothing became his politics but the leaving of them. I'm immensely impressed with James Cleverly's firm decision not to take a role in the next Conservative shadow cabinet under Badenoch or Jenrick. It's the principled thing to do. And I wasn't a great fan of Cleverly, but I'm significantly more inclined towards him now. As indeed, I was more inclined towards Rishi Sunak after the general election failure. He emerged as a much better person without all the flummery and the advisors buzzing around him, telling him what to say. He suddenly became his own man, and that's something we haven't really seen since he was Chancellor of the Exchequer. I think whatever carping we have, he was a good Chancellor. He was an appalling Prime Minister, or he was a satisfactory Prime Minister, but he couldn't undo the damage done by the unbelievable twittishness of Liz Truss and probably one of the brightest people in the Conservative Party, Kwasi Kwarteng. The brightest person in the Conservative Party who will be known down history, who will go down as the person with the prodigious package, who will be mocked for his ambition, and rightly so. As for Priti Patel, I have very little to say about her except she is the prototype of Suella Braverman, and that's probably enough. It's extraordinary how people have been promoted in the Conservative Party above their competence, beyond their competence. And maybe there are people in the Labour Party in the same position. We have to change this. We have to ensure that the people who are in power, who are running our country, have competence and have experience. And the Labour Party has, a spokesperson for the Labour Party has said about the Conservatives that it is now a choice between two people who each played their part in 14 years of Conservative chaos and decline and who have refused to apologise for it. Whoever wins, they have learnt nothing. It goes on to say that Jenrick was an immigration minister for a government that oversaw record immigration levels, and Badenoch made offensive comments about autistic children. Both candidates offer more of the same chaos, division and reckless ideas. Jenrick, as we know, of course, is the man who tore down the cartoons because ideology is more important than reality. But that is a lesson that equally the Labour Party should learn. You hear the clock striking in the background. I'm rather proud I managed to balance the clock. So for the first time in 3 months, my clock is striking the hour. Anyway, good morning.